Please think about coming very close so you'll be able to hear me. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddham dhammang sanghang namasami. Dear friends, welcome to the Sunday morning meditation time at the Dhamma Monastery in Northern California. We're doing a few weeks contemplation of dependent origination in commemoration, our celebration, inspiration of the time when the Buddha, after his full enlightenment, spent 7 weeks contemplating dependent origination after his full awakening under the Bodhi tree. I thought of dedicating today to Vedana, or feeling. In the dependent origination, as a result of taking name and form, being an individual with a body and a mind, there comes to be the diversity of the 6 sense bases together with the corresponding consciousness and corresponding objects in the world. When they meet, there's a contact. That's the spark for experience. That contact, close the circuit. One is awake. You have the capacity for experience. The contact happens, and right there arises the vedana, or the feeling. Just pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral feeling. That's the first instant where the materiality of the physical body and the mental aspects are coming together. The very first thing to come is feeling. And then from the feeling, there's a chance to know what's happening. Vedana, the Pali word for feeling, is related to the Pali verb vedyati, which means to experience. So the kind of direct experiential knowing is coming up there with the vedana, or the feeling. So feeling is not just an emotions or something like that, or the mood or something like that. It's very important in terms of how we're able to know, and how can we know anything at all. And then there's another connection. The root of Vedana in the Pali language is vid, V-I-D, vid, and that is related to Vindanti, which is a word for knowing, and it's related to avijjā. Avijjā is knowing, and avijjā is the opposite of avijjā, namely ignorance. The Buddha said that ignorance is the very starting point of all of our dukkha. So when we are lost in avijjā, not knowing, not seeing, not experiencing reality like it really is, then we're forever caught going around in the cycle of dukkha. But the escape from avijjā, the escape from ignorance, can have a certain kind of a connection with a vedanāI, with the direct experience, which includes feeling. So don't look down on feeling. Feeling is really good for you. You can't pay attention to anything without having a feeling. It's a feeling that arouses your attention, ability to focus on something. It's a feeling that makes the senses to focus. Like even like if you looked at an object, what's happening there? Like your eyeball is like doing something to focus on that object, and then all kind of other things are happening with the little neurons and so forth between the eyes and the brain, and that's arising to some kind of a mental experience where you've taken a guess about what is that visible thing that one is experiencing. And the feeling also is just adjacent to forming an intention or a chaitana, because what a pleasant feeling is connected to what you like. What you like is connected to what you want. The very arising of a pleasant feeling could depend on having an underlying tendency for greed. So then a disposition towards a certain kind of intention focusing to grasp after something with greed, or if it's something unpleasant, unpleasant is the thing that's easy to dislike. If you dislike it, then you hate it, you get aversion. Or if it's something that's neutral to you, neither pleasant nor unpleasant, that kind of feeling actually is a motivator to ignore it. You don't notice it. The things that are neutral, you don't notice them. You don't remember them. You're not clear about them. These reactions that are leading us into karma, leading us into going round and round in that cycle of rebirth, are what Vedana does for an ordinary, unenlightened person. But for an enlightened person, Vedana doesn't do that. Vedana does not lead to this formation of kamas, to liking this, disliking that, and ignoring that. Instead, the enlightened arahant is able to see everything clearly. They don't ignore that which is neutral. They don't prefer that which is pleasant. They don't hate or run away from something unpleasant. If we think that enlightenment is something that happens all at once, just in 1 second, like a flash of lightning, and if we think we don't have it, we could be a little bit in despair, that we're trapped in a state where, because of feeling we're always getting these reactions. But if we think that enlightenment is a kind of a gradual process, like the way that if there's a shipwreck on the beach and there's the rigging, the mast and the sails and so forth are tied with ropes, and this wreck is lying on the beach for a long time, and gradually, with the course of time and nature, the rope and the sails start to decay and decompose, and they become weaker and weaker and weaker, and then the day comes, it falls apart. So I know that every one of us, to some extent or another, you can see that the reactions to the Vedana are weaker than what they used to be. Things that used to cause like and dislike, you're able to have a patient acceptance of, to just say, oh, this is unpleasant. Oh, it's pleasant. And things that are neutral are not invisible to you. Instead, you're able to give an even and equal amount of intention to every passing moment. You are able to notice, could be 8 or 9 neutral moments to 1 pleasant or unpleasant moment. Actually, the majority of the moments you have are neutral. And when you are able to see them clearly and don't be ignorant about them, then you can realize a tremendous freedom and safety. That the moments where the feeling is neutral, you don't need to be disturbed. You've got a lot of freedom. You're not having any impulses to push it away or grab it, or the greed and hatred is not getting activated. It's a very calm, restful, lovely state. And so you can enjoy that. So I believe that it's not necessary to be a fully enlightened arahant to experience, to some extent, vedana, where you just let a feeling is just a feeling, and a feeling does not need to drag you along into a reaction. So this shall be the theme for our meditation this morning. Welcome to come to upright and balanced posture. Letting go of any stress or excitement from the day, even letting go of the Dhamma talk you just listened to. Just coming to the present moment, making a resolution to stay with the here and now, And if the mind wanders into the past and future, to try to bring it back to the present. Aware of the mood or the state of mind that you bring to meditation this morning. If it's scattered and distracted, make it resolve to bring more uh, methodical focus. If it's uh, lazy and dull, make a resolve to bring more energy. If you see that this mind doesn't really want to be here for meditation, wants to be somewhere else, daydreaming or thinking about problems, then try to think of the urgency and the precious value of having a few minutes of time for meditation. To make the effort to arrive at this cushion. Aware of the upright posture of the body. Connected to the solidity of the seat or the cushion where you're sitting. Connection to the floor or the ground. Aware of the senses, especially the five senses. What you might hear and what you might touch, especially hearing and touching. Feeling the touch of the air on the skin. Touch of clothing on the body. Where the hands are touching. And aware of the touching that's coming from inside the body. Like any aches or pains or sensations inside the body. You're starting at the top of the head. feeling any touch at the surface and touch underneath the surface, relaxing the top of the head. Taking some silent time to move awareness around the body, around the face, and down all over the body. Aware of the touch happening at the surface and inside. If there's anything tense or nervous or restless, think of relaxing. Relax with that. And if there's anything pleasant and lovable, think about staying centered with that, not being carried away, keeping awareness as the still point, just watching all the sensations that can be felt around the body. aware of the feeling, what it's like right now. And coming near the end of this meditation, bringing in the thought of kindness, wishing for our own self and for all beings in all the directions, happiness, spiritual success, safety, freedom. And may I be well. May all beings be well. And noticing if there's a shift in the feeling connected to that thought of kindness. Just spreading that thought of kindness and also aware of the feeling. emerging from meditation. This is the time for your comment or question about the Dhamma that I attempted to explain earlier, or about giving the mindful contemplation of feeling in meditation. Mm. Okay, Danielle. Uh, um, just 1 minute. I need to do something so you can unmute yourself.
That worked. I'm good. Thank you.
Yes.
Um, yeah, I think I was wondering if I could share a little bit more about kind of feeling, because I think, at least mostly for English speakers, when we hear feeling, we think emotion, like anger, sadness, and all the different emotions. And as I've, studied Buddhism more, I've come to realize I'm pretty sure that's not exactly the concept that's trying to be expressed when the word, is translated into feeling.
Right.
And you mentioned experience, I think, as kind of
Mhm.
one of the root words. I was wondering if you maybe could talk a little bit more about that, just because I think when I hear feeling, I still think emotion, you
Right.
know?
Um, First of all, um, there is not a word in the Pali that easily translate as emotion. Um, in my humble opinion, the five aggregates associated with uh, clinging, which are the Buddha's shorthand for dukkha, uh, the uh, in the standard way of seeing those is like what people identify as their self. But if you look at what Western scientists say makes an emotion, all of the five khandhas are involved in emotion. So when there's an emotion, something changed in the body, the tears, the blushing, or whatever, uh, there is a, a feeling that comes up, and then also emotions are very much involved with creating certain kinds of perceptions. So it could be, for example, there's a situation and it's not really quite comfortable for you, and then um, at some point the perception comes along, um, this is not safe for me, or this is not fair, or this is lovely, or something like that. And then with that perception, there becomes a tremendous escalation of the emotional level because of the perception. So the perception is involved in it, and then the sign of the synergy, like having a perception, causes the feeling to become stronger. If it's like something you perceive, something you like or dislike, and then those two things sort of like spin and spin and spin until finally you come to the point of making a decision. I have to do something about that. And this is what the function of emotions are, is a very natural, intuitive, fast way to uh, organize yourself so you can do what you got to do to take care of your survival. Meaning you got the things you like and you protect yourself from the things that are a danger or a threat. And so um, all of those things, kind of wrap together in emotions. So then feeling is just one part of it. So feeling is just the initial minimal nonverbal experience that you have before a certain perceptions or intentions have gotten locked into it. But the feeling, whether it be on the side of attraction or on the side of revulsion or on the side of neutrality, the feeling definitely has an impact on what type of um, perceptions come along or what type of volitions come along. So that's how that goes. So when I say experience, I'm trying to refer to that initial direct uh, pre-verbal way of experiencing what's coming up in our world.
Thank you. That's very helpful. Appreciate it.
Yeah. The so then a person who is emotionally mature is not just a victim getting dragged around by their emotions. They have the ability at certain points to put in a break. So just because you have an unpleasant feeling doesn't mean you have to go into a meltdown. Um, just because you see a beautiful person of the gender that you like doesn't mean that you have to rape them, because you have the ability to choose. You can and so putting that gap there is very close to this wisdom in the Buddhist practice, that the arahant, all of the feelings that come along, he's not, or she is not, never triggered in any kind of way, never having any kind of like impulse coming up that's going to cause them to do some karma that would keep them going around in the cycle of rebirth. Okay, thank you. I'll call in Chintana.
Thank you for muting everyone, by the way. I appreciate that. Last week I was like, I almost had a heart attack when that person jumped in. Anyway, I'm trying to explain to my daughter, who is a proud atheist, about anatta. And then all I could get to is the five khandhas, and then trying to explain that. And can you explain the five khandhas so that I could explain them to her?
Um, well, um, right, that the five khandhas altogether are what um, ordinary ignorant people can identify with as being themselves. And to whatever extent somebody is identifying any one of those khandhas, saying, this is me, and then if you think that that's you, then you have to cling to that and you don't want it to change. So if a person believes that their physical body is themselves, and then they have an injury or an accident or old age happens and the body changes, they can get really neurotic about it, right? I mean, you can see how crazy people get about trying to keep the body young and beautiful and fit and everything like that. And it's because they're, identifying that it's like their happiness depends on having a beautiful body. And so, and then it's the same thing, like with a feeling. I was just uh, talking to Daniel about how one can be a victim of the feeling if you say, just because I feel something unpleasant, then I have to have a meltdown. So if you identify with your feelings, and people really do that, like if I or if your daughter says, "Oh, I don't like this," and then mother says, "Oh, that's not really true. Really, you do like it." You can see how upset and angry she would be. She says, "No, no, no, I don't like it," because you have a right. My feeling is my feeling. It's mine.
Right.
Nobody can tell me to feel
Right.
something I feel.
Yeah.
So that's just showing how much trouble can get stirred up by the identification with the feeling. And then the same thing with our perceptions. Like if you see something, I see something one way and then other people don't see it that way. Or I'm trying to explain, or you're trying to explain what you see, what you experience, and others are not getting it. How that can cause actual war can arise when you get a group of people and like with a certain perception of things, and they're trying to get a consensus view because perception is partly created by society. And so if a group of people has got a consensus that this is the way it is, then uh, they can like convince each other and it becomes like a hard reality when really it's just a perception.
Right.
And and so there's a lot of fighting that happens by the contest between different people or different groups about like which perception is real. Um, and then form, feeling, perception, and then the intentions are again, it's especially if somebody is younger, you're trying to find their way in the world and trying to develop their strengths and to accomplish something in the world, like their vocation or their job or getting a family or whatever it is that's the most important goal of their life. And they're really like putting so much effort and energy into achieving certain goals. But then there's a danger to that too, because you forget about making the present moment good. Um, I used to my friend Venerable Hantri, I just saw her recently. She's the Vietnamese meditation master down in Fremont, and she does a lot for the families who have immigrated from Vietnam, and uh, her students, um, the parents are trying to become economically secure in America for the sake of their children, is because they love their children. The mother and father are working maybe 2 or 3 or 4 jobs between them. So they're continuously exhausted. And then they desperately want the children to go to school and go to college so that the children can get a foothold in the American economy. And so all of this, like this goal, they're working for the goal, working for the goal, working for the goal. But then they forgot to take care of the present moment because they got lost in the goal. They got so overwhelmed. So that's identifying with one's intentions, big danger. And it's because of somebody thinking this is me, this is mine, this is, well, forget about this is my soul, because if for an atheist is not going to think about it in that way. But if they think this is me, this is who I am, this is mine, then you're going to get in trouble. But if you just think this is some not because of causes and conditions, and it's constantly changing, and I'm not going to hang on too tight because I know that everything is changing, then I can start to have a happier, healthier, and calmer life. And the
Thank you.
consciousness is the last one. And then the consciousness it knows things in a way like grasping after things. So um, uh, a person is having a life and they're having all their experiences. like the merry-go-round that's going around and around in front of them. But then, who am I? What's here at the middle? And a person who's got a philosophical or a mystical tendency can build up some kind of a notion about this invisible je ne sais quoi, which is at the very center of all my experiences. Or you could say that the consciousness which gives a favoritism to yourself and your own experiences, thinking that what I'm experiencing is more important than what everybody else is experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
Or you could say there's a grand opera. It's a great opera. It's a wonderful story. It's probably the most fascinating story that's ever been written, even greater, better than Shakespeare, better than Homer. The great story of all, that's the story of me in my life. So that's kind of like what consciousness can do if you're not wise about it. But if you can just soften up about that, let it go, realize everything's changing, and there's really not that much difference between myself and others.
Right. Okay. That is very helpful. Thank you. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
I'll call on Elaine.
Thank you, Ayya. I really liked what you had to say about we're thinking about enlightenment, but we can enjoy the here and now. This weekend is a long weekend in Canada. We had lots of family around. One particular family member is a drama queen, and I'm a quiet person. And usually I used to, not usually now, but I used to get really upset and panic when she pulled these things, right? And yesterday I just kind of helped her through it, but I had a moment where she asked me to go get her something. And I thought, I didn't panic. I didn't judge her. Like I kind of am now saying it's drama, but I didn't think, oh, why do you have to do this? I didn't judge her. But all these teachings that I think it's important to stick with one teacher because I've seen how you build on your teachings, and there's a loving kindness prayer that you gave me. And I repeated that over and over and over for maybe a year, and it really helped me with this difficult person. So I think, yes, there's the goal of enlightenment, but Buddhism can really help us in the here and now. And Vijana, I'm the sense door. I'm getting that little bit of time to go, okay, this is hitting, and how am I handling it? Sorry for taking up so much time, but thank you. Thank you.
Wonderful. I'll let that be the last comment, and we can close by giving respect to the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. I'm thanking everybody who came, and if you're here for the first time, if you like it, come back. And as you can see, we welcome conversation. So this is not just a place to listen, but it's also a place to bring out your own experience and questions. The Lord, the perfectly enlightened and blessed one, I render homage to the Buddha, the blessed one. The teachings so completely explained by him, I bow to the Dhamma. the Blessed One's disciples who have practiced well. I bow to the Sangha.
Thank you so much, Ayya.
Thank you, Ayya. Sadhu,
Ayya.
sadhu,
Sadhu,
sadhu.
sadhu.
Sadhu,
Thank you,
sadhu.
Ayya.
Sadhu,
Thank
sadhu.
you, Ayya. I think that Buddhists are atheists. They just see things as they are. It's a philosophy that encourages you to look at your own experiences and test it out. Like the Buddha said to the Kalamar people.